Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. A big thank you to Kai Lear on Twitter for the picture that you're looking at. There's a lot to cover as usual. We're going to be covering something also going on with the Beckhams. We know that we love Victoria and David Beckham as well. So let's just jump in and get busy covering everything, shall we? Let's go. I'm hoping you like how I start off this video. I've decided that since there was VE Day in London and we had the royals out and about, including the children, and they walked to the parade, they watched the parade, then they walked back, there was a balcony moment, then there was a tea party for some veterans. I've just decided that instead of talking through this whole thing, I'm just going to show you the fabulous photos set to music. So enjoy. And of course, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Sophie and what Princess Catherine was wearing. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Beckhams. It appears that Brooklyn Beckham is competing with Prince Harry for the Worst Son of the Year award. Apparently, he's really another ungrateful jerk. To start with, David Beckham turning 50. He wanted to take his boys on a fishing trip, but Brooklyn Beckham decided not to go. As you can see from the pictures, there was a thing on there saying, "We miss you, Brooklyn," but there was more to come. Let's cover what's being reported. Remember that Brooklyn is married to Nicola Peltz, and I covered that wedding a year or two ago because Meghan Markle was not invited, but Serena Williams and a bunch of her friends were. Anyway, Brooklyn and his wife did not attend David Beckham's 50th birthday party in London because Brooklyn is having a feud with his brother Romeo. And it's being reported that David refused to privately celebrate his big day with Brooklyn and his wife. According to the article, they flew to London and they asked David Beckham to meet up with them before the birthday bash privately. And David said no. They were told their only chance to see David Beckham was to show up to his party at the restaurant in Notting Hill, and they didn't do it. Apparently, they reached out to him privately to wish him a happy birthday. What apparently is going on is that Brooklyn and Romeo aren't speaking because of Romeo's girlfriend who used to date Brooklyn, and insiders are saying that Brooklyn and his wife are questioning this girl's motives for dating another Beckham sibling. And apparently David and Victoria Beckham are on Romeo's side because they trust this girl around him. So yeah, this is what's going on. All right, let's move on. All right, next up, it's been confirmed that all of these interviews that Harry gave and the Parent Plus network with Meghan and Harry was done at the Gunthy House Compound Ranch in Carpinteria. Which leads me to ask, why aren't they doing these interviews in their own home? All right, now let's move on again to the Meghan Markle interview. You look at the video a little closer, and what do you see? You see Meghan wiping eyes that are completely dry. No tears, not one tear. And this is why she wasn't getting acting roles. It had nothing to do with her color. It's because she's a bad actress. Look at me, I'm crying. But there's not one tear coming out of her eyes. She's wiping dry eyes. All right, let's move on. All right, next up, I told you yesterday, or I let you listen yesterday to the woman saying that Harry's big problem is that he never says he's sorry. What I forgot to tell you was who that person was. That was ex-Vanity Fair editor Tina Brown, who made those fabulous comments. All right, moving on. Next up, everybody's looking at Archibald's new chief of communications, Meredith Maines, and what the articles are saying. And by the way, she's been in this position for 3 months, and her hiring has come after Harry and Meghan have lost 19 staff members since 2018, and that does not include nannies and cooks and blah, blah, blah. But what they're saying is she's a lot like Meghan because she speaks out about being a wife and a mother and supports Meghan's achievements on social media. She's always going on about it, and yeah, let's see how long she lasts. Next up, I told you guys the other day that I thought it was karma that Harry so badly wants to talk to his father who's not talking to him. But it's just like Thomas Markle wanting to speak to Meghan and Meghan's not talking to him. Well, now mainstream media has picked that up and is basically saying the same thing. Harry is now in the position that Thomas Markle is in, which is exactly what I said. Karma, you guys, it's a thing. Now, as far as William goes, reports are going out that are saying what we've already said, that Harry and William are not going to speak again, that the gulf has actually widened between them, and that this recent interview has only made it worse because of Harry's constant public denigration of the royal family. Not of least was this last interview. And apparently, allegedly, it's being reported that William is going to take action once he becomes king because his overriding concern is protecting the monarchy, which he sees as being denigrated by commercial endeavors. The short answer is, will William forgive Harry and Meghan and welcome them back? And it's being said that that is a big fat no. Once again, if the Sussexes switch to make up and return, it's not what Harry can do. It is what will make a seismic shift in William's determination to not allow Harry back into the family. And it's the spare, I think, is the thing that did it. You can't go around and say things about your brother and say things about his wife and his children and then expect to be welcomed back with open arms. I mean, that just shows you how deluded Harry is. It's also being reported at the same time that he's not going to speak to his father again. Absolutely not. He has finally drawn the line. Listen, he wanted out. He's out. Remember, they're cold, calculated, horrible racists. Why would you want back in with a family like that? He's done. He's over. He just won't accept it. Harry has gotten what he wants. Now, here's the kicker. He doesn't realize that people in the UK could be forgiven for thinking Harry had sunk to his lowest point, but then he had to open his mouth during that interview, and the UK doesn't want him back. I mean, let's be honest. He called the entire UK racist. He called the Commonwealth racist. People don't take well to these are people that open their arms to Meghan, and they all got their hands slapped. And now they're actually comparing them to Prince Andrew, who's also become a serious PR headache for the royals. That's pretty bad to be compared like that. I mean, they're calling them hypocrites. Remember, they left the UK to forge their own way in the United States, and yet they continue to use the royal titles. They continue to try to use social capital. It ensures that they get to the top table of the restaurant, and, they still have that royal aura around them. Total hypocrites. And another one of Harry's friends has spoken out, Ben Goldsmith. He is the son of billionaire Sir James Goldsmith. He has spoken out about the interview and said that it's tragic but true. Prince Harry's behavior is unforgivable. He was the first former pal of Harry to condemn him publicly after Harry admitted in despair that he'd lost friends over the decision to tell, on Oprah everything. FYI, this man's sister, Gemma Goldsmith, was so close to Diana that Diana had visited her twice in Pakistan when she was married to a former cricket person. And she agreed to help Netflix with its portrayal of Diana in The Crown before pulling out when she concluded that the story was not being treated respectfully or compassionately. And she said, it's really important for me that the final years of my friend's life be portrayed accurately, and that wasn't happening. So she backed out. Other people, by the way, who have come out publicly against Harry are Tiggy, his former nanny, and people from the Van Cutsem family, Hugh and Emil's son, and Emil herself. And they all said, how can you reveal such horrible things about your family? But it's the fact that he continues. That's really, I think, just the final straw for everybody. What Harry is doing is called megaphone diplomacy. And you would think by now that he'd realize it doesn't work, but no, he doesn't stop. And finally, a big thank you to the Royal Griff for this picture, which shows how 2025 is going, and it's not going well. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. And in the description box, you'll find the link to my Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, a link to my father's book, which is up for sale, my other channel, and my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.